Welcome to my channel. If you enjoyed the updates I've been uploading, please like, share, and subscribe and turn on that notification. Now, all we know that the astronauts from Artemis 2 have a great time and experienced what have the previous Apollo astronauts has seen what the moon actually looked like. And I know from their last picture from the last Apollo 11 from Apollo 17 that the pictures they're using from their Nikon cameras, especially when I was talking about from my last video, they was using the Nikon Z9, but I just recently found out now, I've been late on the video, sorry for my mistake, they be using the Nikon D5s. So the Nikon D5s, they are the old digital SLR cameras, which they fully frame, but they get the job done. And the pictures, that's even I'm gonna believe it or not, some of the pictures they're taken from the Z9 and the D5 are pretty stellar. Some were taken from iPhones, believe it or not. So I'm gonna compare the lights from the 1972 picture, and you see right here is the 1972 picture, which is pretty beautiful, and the picture is incredible. So now, when I talked about earlier that the other picture that everybody's complaining about, the graininess and everything of the current from Artemis 2, but you got to look closer because there's some other pictures in there that show the actual Earth look like in the shade. And this picture you see right here, it was updated, enhanced at a certain degree to show the clarity. And I know that the not only we could see the Earth from this camera, and this is from a, believe it or not, a this is from, and believe it or not, was actually from a Nikon D5. Believe it or not, this is a Nikon D5 from this picture. This is incredible. I mean, it's taken from an f8. Wow, it's taken from a f4, 40 seconds, and the ISO is high, but it gets the job done. But let's just be honest that the picture. So I'm gonna look closer. That you can see the Kármán line on the of the Earth. We never get to see the Kármán line with the other picture because it was facing the, at the time when the Apollo was coming back to Earth, the Earth was facing the sun, and so we couldn't see that. This time we're looking away from it and leaving it behind, and the Artemis astronauts were using the Nikon D5 with the telephoto lens actually captured the Kármán line of the Earth. And even though the picture's not that great, you can see the auroras from pole to pole and the outer shell of the Earth, of the atmosphere containing it. That is incredible. I mean, it's a good picture. Believe it or not, it is a stellar picture. So let's look at the next one. I mean, now see right here is much darker. This is the actual picture of the Earth at a much more darker face, and it's still it's probably using a believe it or not, an iPhone, because it doesn't tell me the information on it, but the one that actually use the Nikon cameras to tell you the information beautifully of it. So I give them credit. But this is the actual Earth look like before they enhance it, or like they came from another camera. They're not using the same camera. They're probably using a iPhone camera, because they noticed they was using iPhones on the Artemis as well, besides the Z9 and the D5 cameras. And believe it or not, uh, NASA's been using Nikon for pretty much of their flights, which I did not know, be honest with you. But let's continue on. And there's another photo of the Earth. I mean, it is real beautiful. I mean, I can't really. I'm just totally amazed how even with the iPhone, it still takes some stellar pictures. I mean, some really stellar pictures. I'm totally amazed about this. I'm really amazed. And now we are seeing the moon, which is, I believe, that is incredible. I mean, the clarity of the pictures and the sharpness it's incredible. And this one was taken with another phone, but I'm gonna go through a lot of pictures, and I mean, this is more. I mean, believe it or not, there are more enhanced pictures of this, and people could see the details of it because it's amazing how technology has changed for over 50 years of a close up of another celestial body. So I'm just like um, blown away by it. So, some of them I could tell that they're using a normal camera lens, and I mean, I'm just searching through the. So here it is. This is the Earthrise and using a camera. Actually, a D5, I believe. So let's check out if it's a D5 or a Z9. And yes, this is a D5 at 400 milli. At 400 milliliters. Yeah, four millimeters. Yeah, 400 millimeters is an f8, one to 1,000 seconds. The ISO is 400, so they lowered it because the first shot it was too grainy, but this time they lowered it to get a much more cleaner picture, and this is a much more cleaner picture because I'm just totally amazed how the quality of the Earth is, and the picture of the Earth and the moon under the moon set. It's pretty amazing. So there is a lot of, I mean, because I'm not going to go to all of it because there's some that are questionable, and the detection of it is incredible. And this is the interior of it. The interior of the camera, and now what I said earlier, they probably wasn't using a one of those screen protection to block out the extra lights behind the in the Orion capsule. This time they have a cover, like I was talking about from my last video. They cover that, and now you get a much more better and cleaner picture, which is I really appreciate it. They did because this is not going to be the last picture. It's going to be more. To be the more impressive one when they actually going to land on the surface of the moon and take some pictures and videos and at 4K or 8K quality. That's going to be totally amazing. But I give kudos to Nikon because they really test these cameras to see how they hold in space. Because believe it or not, people don't understand this. Leaving the Earth and going out to space to one end to the other, it is totally unforgiving, especially when you get the full exposure of our host star, the sun, which could damage these cameras, because these cameras got some sensors on it. And there's one picture that I'm kind of like concerned about it, and believe it or not, this is another picture, and you can see Venus right here. And I mean, it is bright because these pictures are not dull. They're not twinkling in the atmosphere that we see it. This is in space when you get the sharpest, brightest quality of the cameras in themselves. And it is totally, and believe it or not, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing two stars that could be planets or other star system. And this is behind, believe it or not, the solar eclipse. And this is totally impressive because this is the first time you're doing an eclipse behind the moon, which is pretty much surprisingly. And now, and many people gonna like zoom up to the pictures, and they notice, on the moon. I'm gonna be honest with you. Under the moon, and this was from a Nikon D Z9. Okay, it's Nikon Z9. So there's some concern with this picture because, like I said, the camera sensors are probably sensitive to the environment of the sun because the believe it or not, the Orion capsule is being bombarded with solar wind particles. I mean, high speed solar particles, and there's some spots on the moon that is kind of questionable, and it could be the damage on the sensor because a lot of people are going to talk about, oh, there's some spots behind the solar behind behind this picture. I mean, yes, you could see some stars or planets or whatever they are, some celestial bodies there. But on the moon itself, you're going to see if you have a good where you have a good software or any type of camera, because there are JPEGs, so any picture quality will see them. But I will say this: you're gonna be questionable that you're gonna see some little spots or dots on this picture from the Z9, and people gonna say, "Oh, there could be spacecraft or it could be impact." And that where at first I would thought it was impact. However, when I look closer on the upper edge, and when I zoom in, I notice there's a red dot there. That kind of tells me something, that the lens, actually not it could be the lens or could be the sensor, may have some damage when trying to taking picture of the light. So it could be that, because that's kind of a critical right there, because you don't want your sensor to get damaged by light. And since these cameras are outside of the earth and they're being exposed or seen through the sun, it's a possibility that some stars, believe it or not, could be damaged. Let's just say this: since they took this solar eclipse and it's a Z9, a high quality of 45.7 megapixel camera, it could be possible that the camera may have some damage by taking a picture of the solar eclipse, of actually the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse, but it's a solar eclipse. And there's some spots on the moon from the picture frame that is kind of questionable, because the more I go into the red dot, I mean, it's on the upper, when you look at the pictures, it's on the upper left hand corner of the moon, and you see spots, and it look like flares that could be impacts of, that's what I thought could be impacts on the earth, actually on the moon. And then I find out that let me take a closer look, and I saw that everything looked white except for that one spot on the upper left hand corner, and it's red. I was like, that could be an indication of the sensor, that either there's a problem with the lens or the problem with the sensor. If it's the sensor, then you pretty much may have to replace the sensor or the camera is SLO. But something that could be corrected with editing and to clear it out. But something with the sensor like that, you can't escape it, and it's kind of fortunate that way. So basically, this is a beautiful solar eclipse of the moon. And when you look far away from it, it looks perfect. But then when you zoom in, it's going to start showing up. And believe it or not, and it just it's way it is, because like you never know what's going to happen. And now I'm showing pictures of the astronauts. using their shades to protect their eyes from the solar eclipse, because the light out there is more unforgiving than from the earth. I mean, they got some eyes to protect themselves, but the light from the earth is more forgiving because there's no atmosphere to distort some of the light. You getting the sharpest direct light from the star, from our whole star. No question about it. It just it's just incredible. And like you seen, the Orions going to the moon with their outside camera, and same thing with their from the moon, from the solar eclipse. I mean, it's fine. And it's like, I mean, you just see how impressive the information is. And this is from their other part when they take using the D5 camera, 400 millimeters. That's pretty good. They could have used like, I mean, in my opinion, they could have used like a 800 millimeter, but a 400 to the maximum of 400 millimeter, that's probably the best they could do. Or because wherever the camera or lens they could handle it. And I know is a zoom lens, but usually I know that for future use, I know a lot of people wanted to say, what about Canon? What about Sony? They got pretty good lens, but I think NASA did a lot of tests and see what equipment holds out, and then they select, Nikon. But I will not be surprised that when Artemis 4 get ready to launch, I know that a lot of camera companies will be begging NASA to use their cameras, or they would say they would do anything to modify their main flagship cameras to work with NASA to get their cameras out there and then take pictures. And I would not be surprised that either Sony or Canon or others like Panasonic and Hasselblad or Fuji will push out to use our cameras, and they're going to say our camera could do a better job than Nikon. I mean, it's going to be a fierce competition on that, and I believe that is going to happen. I know that like, hey, they use a Nikon and they probably train on Nikon, and a lot of people want to, they think they think that's a, hey man, it's not fair. I mean, yeah, but it was NASA. It was their choice. I mean, they use a lot of pictures from the D5, an old camera. I mean, they use a lot, and like I had to give them kudos. I mean, but then this is the picture of the Milky Way. This is the actual picture of the Milky Way without no. I mean, this is from the Orion space capsule. Integrity. There's the Orion space capsule named Integrity. This is stellar. I mean, like, and what film they using it? Oh, they use a Z9, Nikon Z9, 35 millimeter f2.8, 10 seconds, ISO 1208. No flash. Now, see, the one thing about the stars, when you zoom in to the pictures, you see more stars. There's one thing about night photography. If you, I mean, because at the time on Earth, you had to put a setting to get that exposure. But with this, you probably take a much more simpler exposure, and you see the stars. I mean, you see a lot of stars. You see a lot of stars, a lot of stars. This is going to be like if you on the moon and you take night photography. Problem is, it's going to be cold because in the shade it's like below 200 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That's definitely icy cold. But with this, you can't argue with this. This is a nice stars. I mean, these are nice stars. I mean, from afar they look beautiful. then when you do close up, the camera capture more stars in the background because there are more stars in the background than you can notice. And that's one thing about it. You can't get a clean shot of, when you zoom in, you get more stars. And plus the Orion vehicle is in motion. So you're gonna get some, stars that not really, just stretching, but all together they look fine because the vehicle is in motion. It's not standing still. Even though it's at 10 seconds, I mean, a little more faster would be fine, but it'd be darker. But this is pretty stellar. But I'm not gonna go into think too further. I mean, this right here, this picture that was also using from a, believe it or not, a Nikon. They must have did a timer on it, and they did it pretty good. But I'm not gonna go any further from this. I believe that this first time with more enhanced professional photography, we get a much more better picture with of the Earth, and we get a better picture of the moon. We got a better picture of the stars. We got a better picture of the first time solar eclipse outside of the Earth, and we got a better picture of the Milky Way, which is kind of proof that the next Artemis mission that I believe is could be Artemis 4, that there's going to be a lot of vendors, especially with camera companies, want their cameras besides Nikon to go up in space and take pictures, because I know this is going to be a big deal because they want to prove that they could do a better. They want to they want to prove that their camera could do a better job than Nikon, even though NASA selected Nikon because they must have did a lot of testing to make sure the camera could work in space, because once again, space is unforgiving. And believe it or not, a lot of stuff, you put in something in spacey thing, it lasts forever. Sometime it will last, and sometime it will just break down over time because of the power of emitting of our whole star, the sun, will break them, the material down over time. But I believe that these pictures from NASA is beautiful, and I know that Artemis is on his way back, and hopefully that will be pretty soon, that this Friday. And once they splash down, I know they got tons of questions, tons of materials, because this is a lifetime experience for them to see the moon close up, and see that, the craters, the everything. That is totally impressive, because this is just the beginning to go back, and hopefully that when we go back, we can do more, put a base, do research, make development, then bring more privateers there, and then make everything grow from there. Anyway, I will see you next time, and have a nice day.